Welcome back, everybody, for more Factorio. This is episode number 14 of Recursion. We're in the Endgame now, Tony. The base has been redesigned from top to bottom, and now we are undergoing the process of speeding everything up, which means adding more trains, adding more outposts, filling in some of the layers inside the base that haven't been filled out yet, and then speeding up the transfer of items, which usually means more robots, but also usually means a little bit more subtle things like buffer chests and properly setting up the requester chests, all that kind of stuff. Things have been happening in between last episode and this episode. We got a whole bunch more solar panels up here. It's like a giant, it's like I forget what the logic sign is called. Whatever, it's a giant C. It almost looked like a Pac-Man, except it's not round. Let's click on the power button. We have 143,000 solar panels and climbing. They are providing like basically our entire base's worth of power during the day, over 7 gigawatts. Nuclear power barely getting used anymore as we continue to add solar panels, and that is very nice because it's going to give us the freedom to redesign the thing without worrying about our power crash. And you can actually see the ground here, which is kind of amazing. It's nighttime right now, so there's more activity because we're using accumulator charge and nuclear power at the same time. But during the day, it's almost dead here. Basically no robots. Over the next few episodes, not this episode, but over the next few episodes, we're going to break down all of the stuff inside here. We're going to start putting it inside the actual real base, and we will need to redesign our nuclear facility in here that creates, that processes the ore and makes the fuel cells and all that kind of stuff. And that recycles the old fuel cells. All of our uranium-based needs will need to get reworked, as well as we want to start using the best fuel in the world. I don't even know where it is. Is it here? Yeah, nuclear fuel. Holds more fuel than rocket fuel, but more importantly, it allows for greater acceleration, which will be important to get the trains into the stations and out of the stations faster. Also added some new ore patches, some new ore outposts, and we'll continue to add them this episode. Actually, we're going to add some iron and copper. So we've got iron 5 over here to the left. I think I added iron 6 up here and added iron 4 here. So 3 new iron patches since last episode. I think last episode we had, what, 50,000 solar panels, and now we've tripled that. Also added some copper patches. We've got copper 5 and copper 4 right here. These two, we're going to add some more copper patches, probably over on this side, and probably another oil expansion. We've gotten to the point where the trains are starting to basically be out of the station for longer and longer period of time. You can see here the oil trains are both gone. Here comes one right now. We just finished science. Let's do a new science. Yeah, we need to make sure that these don't ever empty out, so we will need a... we could just put one more extra train, but what we really need is a new outpost. So, new iron outposts, new copper outposts, new oil outposts, more trains, more trains, more trains. I think our stone and our coal is keeping up for now, but eventually we'll need more of those. This guy is doing okay at 12 million. Could just add more trains to the system. That would be fine. This guy, his time is limited. He's only got 4 million left, but we're not using stone that much. It's one of the least used items for science. Speaking of which, here's our production statistics. We are currently smelting 60,000 iron plates a minute. That's pretty good. 40-some thousand copper plates, 110,000 copper cables, and over the past hour, we have been averaging about 400 and change of the various sciences, which is quite a bit faster than our base was several episodes ago. And we've been doing that while simultaneously producing accumulators and solar panels for our power field up to the north, as well as simultaneously making a lot of logistics robots. It's about 60 a minute now, but I think the long-term average is more like 100 a minute. So we're producing a lot of stuff, and we want to produce more. One of the big challenges of using this mod and this sort of base idea is getting the robots to respond fast enough to a logistics request. Let's see, if we zoom in real close, I can actually see where my mouse is. We can see these chests. They're being covered by a swarm of gnats that are carrying our ore back and forth. But okay, so here, right here, is requester chest, which is asking for 4,000 copper ore. When the logistics system gets that request, it sends out enough robots to fill that thing. And you can see by their travel speed, basically at any one time, there's enough robots in the air to fulfill that. So that by itself is not fast enough. You can see how fast it's getting emptied right now. And so what we've been doing, and what I've learned is very useful, is to start using these buffer chests. So this buffer chest is also asking for 2,000 ore, and it's barely keeping up. So what we might actually do is just add... Let me see, is there anything right here? I can't actually see. What's here? Is there something there? I don't know. We might have to move one of these roboports eventually. I think I can put that there, and there's nothing there. Okay. So let's copy this buffer chest to that buffer chest. So now we have an additional 2,000 ore being requested. And basically what that means is we've now tripled the amount of robots responding to this request. In addition to that, when they do want to fill this thing with ore, they've got a new source which is very close by, so they can make many very short trips very quickly to supply this request. Look, right there, bam, it's full. And as we add more and more smelting, we need more and more ore. We're going to need more and more of these buffer chests, which will also require more robots. And we'll probably get to a point where they just can't keep up. This one is not keeping up. But the ore itself seems to be keeping up. I think, yeah, I already had two buffer chests of iron ore there. And we just added a second buffer chest of copper ore. And the trains are leaving the station. When we want these inside trains to always be... Here comes another one. We want the inside trains to always be there. You can see the iron trains are not here because the robots will take from those trains first because they're the closest to the supply or to the destination. So they get emptied first. We want to supply those more. So we'll be adding more iron outposts inside the base. What's been going on in here? We've been adding more things. I've got more and more robots flying around. I added, let's see, I added an extra oil refinery guy inside this guy. And then just basically been going through and trying to optimize the flow of robots, which a lot of times involves adding extra buffer chests. So down here in the iron, oh no, this is copper because it's orange. Down here in the copper, basically we see, is this provider chest, is it full? And then is the destination, is that being supplied? This is barely getting supplied. All right, next step. Are there enough robots in the system? Seems like it. We've got about 600 idle. So what we might want to do then is supply a buffer chest. Or was I guess I was mousing over the buffer chest. This requester chest, it does seem to be keeping up, but it is close to not keeping up. So very soon we'll probably need to add another buffer chest there. We can go all the way down and trace it all the way as far as it'll go. I have 1,000 robots in here, and a lot of them are idle, so that's okay. We've got, let's see. I guess we could, you can also trace it from the other side with the copper plates. So if we see the copper plates are full, then maybe we don't need to worry about copper plates right now. A lot of our copper and a lot of our iron are going into the green circuits. So we can check here. This is the transfer between this big building, which is creating the green circuits, and this building, which is using them all, which is where all the rest of the base is. So here's the transfer chest between the two, and it's empty. So we can check the transfer chest for the materials, so the ingredients, which is copper. Those both say they have 4K. Okay, what about the iron? This is the transfer chest for the iron, and that says it's empty. So that means we need to go try to speed up the iron. One step at a time. When we look at both levels, and we can see, okay, we've got no available logistics robots, so let's add some. And we'll just add them in chunks of, I don't know, 100 to 200 or so. And then also probably add some buffer chests, and I don't see any buffer chests for the iron. Perhaps it's not necessary for this one because it's so close. But we also have iron coming. No, I guess it's just steel coming from there. Is the steel keeping up? Steel seems fine. Gear wheel seems fine. We need more iron production, and so we just need to basically chase down the source of the problem and then address it. The iron ore for this guy seems to be getting supplied just fine. But this guy is not keeping up, so possibly we need more robots, possibly we need buffer chests. This guy is empty, though, so a buffer chest isn't going to do anything here because there's not enough supply to do anything about it. Okay, what about in here? We have... Looks like the robots are dipping down to 0 available fairly frequently. So I'll just bump that up to 1,000 because there's still many levels here to be filled out, so we're going to need more and more. Okay, let's go check the supply. Supply says the ore is pretty full. And the ore being delivered, that seems okay too. Okay. Gear wheels were doing fine, but this is empty, so let's just keep going downwards and downwards and tracing the problem. We have... Okay, it fluctuates the amount of robots as they supply a problem, and then they realize there's a new problem or there's a new thing to supply from the logistics constantly getting updated. So let's just add some more. And have I added buffer chests here? I haven't. Well, we should also check to see if the chests are full. So this chest is empty. And what about this chest? Also empty. Okay, so we'll just keep going downwards. And we'll see if they need more robots, if they need a buffer chest. And down here in the actual smelting levels are all the areas, you can see the top 2 levels, not even getting touched by robots, probably because there's not enough robots. Yeah, there's only 300 in here. So let's add 400. Once we figure out the optimal amount of robots for a given level, then we can copy it and just like use that setting, reference it, and use that whenever we fill out a new level. But we're still getting up to full speed, even for these individual level floors. So it's a bit of a learning experience as we increase speed on one floor, then suddenly the floor below it is not fast enough anymore because, well, now we discover it doesn't have enough robots. This one has 450. I do see robots up here. I do see the machines working. So 450 might be okay. Let's check the input chest. Yeah, that's fine. Let's check the output chest. Over yonder. Okay, it's empty, but it looks like all of these guys are getting supplied and looks like there's extra robots. So we might just be at capacity here. Maybe 450 is the sweet spot. This one has 400 and looks like starting to get activity up here. We're getting very close to having 0 robots available. So let's go ahead and bump that up to 450. Maybe that's the magic number. Maybe it's not. And then just basically follow that all the way back down and try to just bump up some numbers and add buffer chests every time there's a little bit of a problem. All right, after doing some tinkering, we have caught up. This steel chest is now full of iron, which means we have caught up with our green circuit production. And there's probably something else we need to increase now, but let's go take a look at what the iron production looks like now. It's getting a little bit nutty up here in our iron smelting area. So this floor has 1,500 robots, and because we've caught up, things are starting to slow down a bit in these floors. This half is all the steel we've been able to keep up with up to this point, and it seems like that's still the case. This transfer chest is full, so we've caught up. And we are transferring enough ores fast enough by adding more buffer chests, adding more robots, providing we have enough power on each floor. This amount of the smelting from here down is, just by itself, is pulling 2.2 gigawatts of power. Maybe even a little bit more than that as things go full speed, because now they are slowing down because it caught up. But we have 1,300 robots, and it just bottomed out again. So let's give them some more. let me just say this, I have a grand total of 3 floors smelting iron. So on this half is totally empty. We're going to fill in an extra 6 there, and an extra iron gear wheels there. So a lot more smelting will have to eventually be done. 1,500, I'll just leave it at 1,500 for now. I think we've caught up. We are up to 80,000 iron plates sustained per minute. Pretty good. We've got 1,750 robots on this floor, and you can see how fast it fluctuates between all of them being active to none of them being active. And we'll slow down just a bit because this is caught up. But we've got 1 floor here smelting iron, and then 2 in here. So only 3 total out of all these floors that will eventually be full are actually doing anything. I think I hit the sweet spot. It seems to be around 650 robots to saturate the whole thing in and out. And I found really, in order to get the robots to activate as much as possible, you really want to bump this up to as high as it'll go, or within reason, really. It can go up to 4,800, but I've bumped it up to 4,000, just to make sure that the robots are always pulling the iron from the smelters down to this chest, even if there's only a few pieces there, because the amount being requested also takes into account the amount flying through the air towards the chest. So by bumping that amount up, we make sure that the robots are always pulling out of the smelters as soon as they're ready. This one is empty, this one is empty. 500 robots in this floor. We'll have to bump that up as we add in those other floors. Can I get here? This wall, let's get rid of this wall. I didn't pick up any robots, did I? We have 1,749, I must have. There we go. Okay, in here we got 2. We got 750 robots on this floor. And I think 650 on each of these levels, and we're requesting out 4,000. It's filled up now, so it's slowed down a little bit. So we need to speed something else up. We've got 650 here. Each floor is pulling about 300 megawatts right now. Pretty good. Pretty good. This is, I think we're at like 25%. We're nearing 25% capacity for our iron smelting. Maybe not even that much. 6 levels here we need to fill in. We've got 3. Let's go count, actually. If I can even see where I am. I don't know where I am. 2 more there. So 8 empty, 3 full. 11? 11 just doing iron plates, which does not include the steel at all, because that is getting smelted individually. All in one in there. So we have a lot more to go. But I think now is a good time, since we've done that. Let's go make some mining outposts. Okay, first up on our outpost expansion list, we've got this big iron patch here. It has 48 million iron in it. There's a little patch right here. This is the border between the 0.15 terrain and the 0.16 terrain when we started Recursion. We started expanding further out. It looks like the ore generates about 3 chunks before the land, or the land generates 3 chunks before the ore. I never really thought about that before. If that's what's going on. It looks like this got cut off, but this got cut off further over. Huh, what do you know? Okay, anyway. Iron ore outpost. Boom. Robots. Get to it, robots. Okay, so that's going to be the ore drop off. Then we need the mining blueprint, which is in here somewhere, while they're doing their thing. I should have all the ingredients to put most of this down without resupplying. That way you will power the thing up, add a few trains to it. Okay, so we are up and running. We just need to put down a radar so we can see what's going on. In the future, I'm mostly just going to be putting radars down at the actual ore outposts to reduce on lag. We're going to be cleaning up a lot of this mess. This is our old power line from the old system. Up to the north, I have cleaned it up quite a bit. If you turn off the power lines, you can see that the power is now being distributed by the new rail system, which we have completely rebuilt. We basically completely rebuilt everything since restarting the series, but all this needs to be cleaned up. We've got some old walls that need to get removed. So the power lines are getting cleaned up. We're in the process. We're getting there. Now we need to just update these trains. Let's see, this is going to be iron number 7, I think. And then after this, we'll go do a copper one. Let's go to the stop and update the number, and then we will update the schedules. So yeah, iron number 7. Okay, enter. Then we'll run down here to the locomotives, and we also need to give them some fuel. I think it picks some up. Okay, and then give the other guys fuel. We'll start out with just 2. And then we'll update that as we need to. Give that guy 1. That guy gets a little bit. That guy's a little bit. Okay, so now they all have some. Let's find an iron train and copy the schedule. Also the color. Very important to have your fashion in Factorio. So this says go to Outpost Iron 5 and get a full cargo. We're just going to replace that with a Iron 7 one. Inventory full. Then we can delete that. So this is the new one. Go to Iron 7, full cargo. Then go to the drop-off at Recursion and empty it. So that's this one. We're going to shift right-click, shift left-click. Then we're going to turn the trains on, and that's it. Ready to go. Now we can go find a nice copper patch, set that up. These guys will mind their own business, pick up their stuff, head to the base, and then come back. Where should we go? We've got, I think, this branch of our copper. We've got 2 different copper lines. Our left copper line has 1, 2, 3, 4 outposts already. The right copper line only has this once. We should probably break down this wall and head out here. Start taking some of these copper outposts. Okay, time for outpost number 2. Gonna be copper this time, and there is a little nugget there of iron in the middle, which I guess we'll just avoid as best we can. We're all the way over here to the east. I've cleaned up the power lines quite a bit, so now they are parallel with the rails. Looking much nicer. We've only got radars for the most part at the actual outposts and along this high traffic corridor, I guess. And oh yeah, there's a pretty big power grid up there. Are you guys done? What are we missing? And just like that, the next copper outpost ready to go. Let's just make sure that everything's plugged in, which it's not, and that we're not getting any iron. We'll just do like a basic spot checkerino, and that the belts aren't even freaking completed. There, okay, good. This guy needs a little power fidget bob. That guy needs a little one. Okay, everything is running. Do we see any iron ore on the belt? I don't see any. Okay, that's good. That's good. We might eventually, some of these that are kind of overlapping, we might eventually just mine up both and separate them with some filter inserters or some other means of separating items. These guys need power, so we'll give this guy a little substation connection and then connect this up, however, like maybe like on the grid kind of deal. Should be like that, and then there we go. Okay, so now that's connected. We also need to give this section a radar, this mining outpost. This is a big one, so I don't know if we'll be able to cover everything. Maybe if I put it in here, in this empty patch, we could cover everything, hypothetically. That looks pretty good, but it's not powered, so let's... There we go. Okay. Fantastic. Copper 6. Oh, we got to turn the trains on. I almost forgot. One last step, and then we're done with this outpost for now. It's pretty far away. We might add an extra train or 2 eventually. But that can be done back from the base. Don't have to come out here to add a train. Yeah, it does cover pretty much the whole thing except for this little entry track. We've got to go all the way back there to get back to the main base. Pretty long distance. All right, but I'm done here. Let's pack up the stuff. Let's get out of here. Do I have my bag of holding? Bag of holding is here. Let's run back home. Okay, so back at the base, and I'm just checking up on things, and our iron and our copper have both backed up. The green circuits have caught up and backed up, and the current limitation is the electric furnaces, which are being made for the purple science. Seems like we are low on steel, so now it's just basically time to go back through all the kind of stuff we've been doing for that. We got to do for the other. Let me, actually, while I'm in here, only 100 robots in here. That's probably going to be a problem eventually, so let me just go ahead and bump that up a little bit. I think when I first did this, I was extremely... Oh, yeah, that's right. We were still working with just the nuclear, and so my power constraints were quite extreme. Let me just add a few to each of these levels. None of them are really operating at full capacity yet, but they will eventually. This guy probably could use a few robots as well. How many you got? You only have You only have 100 as well? Great. Just give you a few more, because eventually you're going to need it. All right, so let's go take a look at the steel. I haven't updated the steel, I don't think, to use any of the buffer chest stuff. And I haven't gone back in a while to increase the amount of logistics robots. While we're here, let's actually grab more. Because now that I look at how much I have after just dumping some in those few floors, I think we're going to need some more. So let's go take a look. I might actually, I might take a little while and stop doing research for maybe a couple hours just to really concentrate on producing. What am I doing? Let's just grab all of them. I'm going to concentrate on producing a lot of solar panels so we can finish up that solar panel field As we continue to scale up, we get more power. We can fill in more of these factory floors. We can add more robots. We'll be able to produce the solar panels faster. So eventually, it'll just even out, I guess, in the long run. It has more or less been keeping pace. Maybe I don't need to do anything about it. Okay, here we go. Into the steel level. We got extra robots here. Steel is full on this level, though. Wait a second. It's full. Okay. So maybe it's not a production issue. Maybe it's just a transportation issue. Let's go take a look. We've got extra robots flying around. It might be... This chest might not be requested enough, and we might need a buffer chest. It might be as simple as that. I still need to go through and update the steel with the new buffer chest techniques. Yeah, you're only asking for 1,000. That's probably not enough for the amount of updates you're getting. We need more robots flying through the air to transport, and that might produce a shortage further back the chain. Okay, now that's filling up. Oh, I don't even know where I am. The screen's covered in robots. We still have extra robots. This is just a back and forth balance. As one link in the chain gets stressed out, the other ones get stronger, the other ones get stressed out. Okay, what are you doing here? You're full. All right. Wait a second. Why were we having a steel shortage? Maybe it's just a problem with the logistics system, and it's much simpler than I thought. Let's actually unlimit that so we can have full throughput with the robos. All right, so they're being requested up to here into this chest right here. Let's update this to 4K. Do we need more robots on this floor? We just dropped down to 0, so let's go ahead and bump this up to 1K. All right. We might need a buffer chest there if it can't keep up. Let's eyeball it. It's filling up right now. We might have just solved one of the problems. This only asks for 1,000. Let's just increase those numbers to upgrade the transfer. Oh, that was probably a problem right there. I had limited the chests, and I realized now, because I wanted there to be less lag in the system for things to fill up when we stop doing research and stuff like that. But turns out we need all those chests as full as possible to make sure that the robots transfer things as fast as possible. And we definitely need more robos on this floor. Okay, that might have helped the issue right there. And oh, this chest also probably needs updated. Oh, I did update that one. Now this one is getting more attention. Yeah, okay, that seems to have helped. And these guys are limited as well. Let's go ahead and unlimit them so that the robots can truly thrive. Okay, more robots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How's it going? Is it helping? I see an increase. I think it's helping. Okay, but I think that about does it for this episode. We have gone from, what, 150,000 solar panels? No, we went from 50,000 solar panels to 150,000 solar panels. Speed of the overall base has basically tripled over the last several episodes. We're going to keep speeding up. We're going to keep adding robots, keep increasing power, keep adding outposts, keep adding trains. Everything's going to keep increasing until basically the game breaks. We're going to keep pushing it till it breaks, till it stops working. That's it for this episode, though. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.